Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you all are having a fantastic day. This was just made to my attention by Ringside News. The link will be in the comments section down below. There's the link to the source pertaining to the Money in the Bank pay-per-view and the possibility WWE is going to make it a two-night event. And I'm going to go ahead and detail what this is about. Okay. During the latest WrestleMania radio sources revealed WWE is actively considering expanding the Money in the Bank into a two-night spectacle by 2027. Basically state easily one night is a women's Money in the Bank ladder match main event. The next night is the main event, the main man's event, a source explained. This move would mirror the rumored changes in the Royal Rumble, where WWE has also discussed splitting the men and women's Rumble matches up to two nights. And you know what? I get that. I mean, it kind of makes perfect sense simply because they want to have more time to do more in matches that are part of very important feuds in WWE. And it does give them more exposure to work more with these feuds in theory. The problem is why it doesn't work as a two-night event is because people would have to watch the other half of it the following night to see what happens on the remaining pay-per-view, like WrestleMania. Practically for the last several years, they're doing these two-night events, but it really is kind of like where people are like, okay, well, why can't they go back to a one-night event and have everything on the pay-per-view be presented in one shot? I often felt like that whole logic is really what wrestling fans have some truth about, because it's too many matches. You got to wait till the following night to watch the other half of the event. But another thing is that creatively, that most of these matches that they present are feuds that realistically are not really getting a lot of exposure, or just seen as feuds to pass the time before we get to the main feuds of the top titles. So it's like you're watching something to pass the show, the time. You're not really watching it because you're invested. You're watching it mainly because it's passing the time. That's why they have these feuds that are basically mid-card feuds, if not even before the mid-card feuds happen. And it just gets to a point where it's like, okay, we just want to get to the main parts. And I often feel like two pay-per-views for the Money in the Bank pay-per-view would also be a bad thing because of the lack of creativity. Because even though WWE is being creatively run by Triple H, there's too many championships as it is to focus on, the where if they do have two Money in the Bank winners a night apart, even if they cash in, they really are not cashing into a main event level. They're just holding on to a belt before they lose to somebody else who's already been champion many times, or they're going to bring back a past part-timer to score those champions, and then the Money in the Bank win really doesn't mean much as a whole when they really are going to drop the belt in the future after being poorly utilized the wrong way for as long as they were. You know what I mean? And they're just going from one cash in from a person on the show to another, but it just realistically is the lack of creative for these winners or these people that cash in, to where, when they cash in for a championship, it's basically going to be a thing where it's like, okay, even if they win, they really lose. And if they really lose, they really lose, because no matter who wins, it's just really a case of, yeah, they'll cash in on a fallen champion, but, even if they win, they don't really win. And two-night events are becoming way too much. I mean, we're getting the WWE on Netflix, and they just want to go ahead and make these events slowly but surely become two nights for WrestleMania and eventually the Money in the Bank match. And while, yeah, it separates the genders up to wrestle on the event one night and another, I feel like also that could send the wrong message. I think they need to keep it the way it is and just have combination of men and women's matches jointly on a pay-per-view, to where we don't need to divide them up. You know what I mean? That's the way to do it. And I really feel like this change is not really a good move as it is. And they need to go back to what used to work with the Money in the Bank match and the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. It's okay to have champions fail at cashing in, but if you have two nights, it really is just going to be struggling for them to push out more feuds to be exposed for the storytelling aspect. You know what I mean? I think that they need to keep it only on one night because the Money in the Bank pay-per-view, as great as it used to be, I also haven't been happy with the concept of it for a while because it's so repetitive and stale and done to death. And having two nights for one pay-per-view just seems like it's too excessive when they can just keep it at one. I think that needs to be the case. I think we need to keep it strictly on one. But what do you guys think? Tell me in the comments section down below. Do you think WWE should do a 2-night Money in the Bank pay-per-view, or do you want to see it be one night only? Hit the subscribe button if you're brand new to the channel. Thanks again for watching, and I'll talk to you later.